Hello, welcome to my channel, Liz McGee. If you are a subscriber or returning subscriber, blessings. It's a very exciting time. I'm getting ready to release what I believe is years of research under the guidance of the Ruach HaKodesh to release the keys to the kingdom. A very arcane, esoteric form of the word of Yahweh, which is there, has always been there, but somehow we lost it along the way. And this is a lot of the restoration that is going on in these exciting last days. So I'd like you just, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know you are an elect also on this awesome journey, the last leg of the race. In Yeshua's name, be blessed. Hi, welcome back to part 2 of the keys. I'm releasing the keys to the kingdom. I am going to now go into a lot of quick readings, textual, and give verses, and hoping to show you how the keys work and how words are used, like words that we would have most would just gloss over. They don't understand that these are code words and referring to deeper things or different things, different realms. Remember I told you we got 5 worlds and 5 soul levels, and the prophets are all over the place, up and down, describing things going on. Now, the way I've developed this, I just want you to say, someday I'll give a complete maybe testimonial video on how I just feel Hashem just led me into this. I've had so many little, like the cookie trail, a crumb trail, I just really believe this is my zone, all right? But one thing is that I have come to the conclusion after studying out the canon, it is not about canons. All right, this is a straw dog argument that Hasatan always makes to make us fight with each other. It's not books in and books out. It's not how the Jewish mindset of a Torah sage works. There are books for everybody, the common Bible, and you want to put, if you want to put 66 in it, or you want to put 96 in it, like the Ethiopian canon, whatever. The rest of the writings are in what is called the books for the wise. There are books out there that have always been known and read by those who are, more Torah sages, people who are teachers, people who are going on in the journey, who have a calling to teach, to impart, to be prophetic, to know these things, all right? This is the way. So I say just read everything, because what you're reading, what you're doing, is we are to read and to seek Elohim for understanding and wisdom. Chokmah and Bina. That is the principal thing. That's what it means. They're not all in one book. They're certainly not in the canon only. The canon is sort of like the cliff notes, all right? So if you don't have the rest of the info, there's no way you're going to really decipher what the cliff notes mean. So the codes are the canon is encrypted. To uncrypt it, you got to read everything, because at this point it talks about how seed is just spread all over the earth. It's all over the place. That's why these texts are coming back. So I say don't read with the Ruach for wisdom and understanding. This is what it means to become initiated. It means that you read enough so that you get it. You can see, this prophet is referencing that writing, and this one had on the understanding of that. So I'm going to show you how just reading across the board begins to give you wisdom and understanding, especially. So here is just, I'm a queen of cut and paste, so I've been looking for these for years. So the Zohar. Zohar is the redaction we have today of the best of the mystical. And the mystical just means, how to take get out of the literal level into the sod, into the remez, and understandings, okay? So the Zohar tells us that walking from one place to another, and if you read the Zohar, you will see that these rabbis, they're always on the road, and they meet somebody, and they have a conversation. It's just sort of the way it's structurally set up. It says when the Zohar tells about walking from one place to another, it is not necessarily referring to an actual walking. So we're not at a literal level. These guys are doing something else. It says in most stories that it is about following a spiritual path, or it is about studying to reveal new secrets and light. So when they're on the road and they meet another, rabbi, they're imparting wisdom and understanding. They're kind of comparing notes and see if one has more insight. This is how it's done. So this is where it's important to understand that they're not like literally walking on a road. They are talking about following a train of thought, a spiritual path to wisdom and understanding. So that's one. Especially, I realize when you get into talking about the heavens, remember, we made the heavens and the earth, two huge categories. In the heavens and the earth, you have three worlds, all right? Three soul levels, all right? And they are given code words to describe this. So much of the reason, I don't want to preach in this, I just want to give this information. So a lot of times what they do is they will code into it an element. So this is why I'm going to read to you, well, let me just do this, an element, a direction, north, south, east, west, up, down, a season, things happen in the winter, they happen in the summer. They're deliberate this way. There is a call, the ethical quality of that. So this is why the drash is important in the law. Things are very much, Yahweh is a very ethical Elohim. Things are done a certain way. There's Torah. You stay in Torah. Color. Okay, why in the tabernacle? Why were the curtains one color and the priest had to wear certain colors? There's very specific. Remember I talked about this law of correspondence always is going on. There's a planet. They're attached to a planet concept. And you'll see this a lot in the ancient occult. When I say occult, esoteric, the Ramaz understanding that's been kept in symbols and in the organ of the body. Okay, so that's another way. They know exactly what they're doing. So as we can unpack and identify these things and what they relate to. So there's another, just to show you that the Hebrews are not the only ones. See, this is why, Daniel was a master in explaining riddles. Riddles, arcane knowledge. This Ramaz level of understanding that I'm talking about is just been practiced by all the ages, and they were into mind games. They were very smart people, all right? And they elevated the mind. Anybody who knows anything about like Greek philosophy, the elevation of the mind is the highest thing, all right? But this is from, and I want you to just listen to the similarity in a lot of the words, all right? Because, all right, the Bacchae of Eropatus, okay, gives us the most vital picture of the wonderful circumstance in which, as Plato says in the Ion, which is a book he wrote, okay? Now, I'm doing this so you can hear the words. The God intoxicated celebrants. So think of this. This is mystery school religion. Would be pagan mystery school religion writings. All right. The God intoxicated celebrant. So who we're talking about? We're talking about so if you know anything, Bacchae had a lot of, the god of Bacchae, it talks about in our text, it was one of the gods, quote unquote, worshipped by the pagans, and they had all these rituals, right, they would do. All right. But here, the God intoxicated celebrants draw milk and honey from the streams. You'll find equivalents in Hebrew literature, milk and honey. Yahweh's bringing us into a land of milk and honey. They strike rocks. Who struck a rock in our? Moshe. With the thyrus, and water gushes forth. All right. They lower the thyrus to the earth, and a spring of wine bubbles up. Wine. These are always... if they want milk, they scratch up the ground with their fingers and draw up the milky fluid. Honey trickles down from the thyruses made of the wood of the ivy, and they gird themselves with snakes and suck to fawns and wolf cubs as if they were infants at the breast. All right. So I just, I'm not going to pay, but you just have to hear these. We have honey, wine, milk, oil, we have fawns and wolves. So I'm saying all the symbols are there. And this is language. This is encrypted. The person in this, in this Bacchus, the initiate would know what's going on here. All right, so I just want to tell you this concept of keys, encrypting is all over the ancient world. All right, so now here's another one from, okay, so these are things like Rashi. So I just read a lot of now Rashi, I told you, they consider him one of the greatest Bible commentators because he was able to just sort of codify down kind of the literal Peshat level meaning, which is very important. All right, and it's much more than a literal in a sense. It brings in the history, what they know in the Midrash, the allegory. There's a lot more information in the Peshat than it is given credit for. Let me just say this, but Rashi made a comment on Isaiah 4:2. And he, it says, Rashi's commentary, he says, and the fruit of the land. Now, how many times have we heard the fruit of the land? All right? Which is, he will tell you, this is how the Torah says, they are the children of the righteous. So we are the fruit of the land. All right? The fruit of the tree of life. They shall be for greatness and glory. For the survivors of Israel will boast and praise themselves with them. So here, he's telling you, this is the understanding, the fruit of the land. All right, so they locked it down so that it wouldn't be lost. The fruit and the children of the righteous, we are children of the fruit of life. All right, and of the tree of life, and it refers to the tree of life. Okay, so there's another great way to begin to see and understand and to collect the keys. Now, I'm going to go through a whole bunch of scriptures because I told you I follow reading everything, including secular works, including so that you can gain wisdom and understanding. Our prophets like Isaiah, people like Isaiah and Paul, these people were unbelievable Torah sages. They knew their writings inside and out, all levels, up and down, plus they knew about the nations. See, this is the point. How do you think Isaiah was able to prophesy so accurately to nations? Egypt, Edom, Babylon, unless they knew their story. See, this is, okay? So now I just want to go over a couple of, I want to show you this. All right, so we're back to this. And hey, I want to put a little plug in. I put this down here because I'm really asking people. This channel is going to explode. I really believe this because it's time. But I'd like people to subscribe to my channel. Share these videos. There's tons of sites on Facebook and all over, and I know that people are interested in this material. Like it and comment. I would just ask everyone, this is something, we're all in this together, and we can share our understandings. Now, this is another thing we talk, 5 worlds, 5 soul levels given. All right, now what I want to tell you is what I've been doing is keeping these folders for years of categories. I see how these words are encrypted. They're saying the same thing. It's not like there's a zillion different realities around. It's just for some reason the prophets would pick on let's say the animal kingdom, and they would just figure out ways to encode tons of esoteric, hidden, occult information using these words, using animal words. All right. So what I'm trying to say is I have folders all about trees. Like trees are so huge in the text, you wouldn't believe it. Number one, we start with the tree of life, which that's a whole separate issue because I'm going to dovetail between Kabbalistic understandings, the deepest levels of understanding, with some of these remezes, which are kind of everywhere, all right? So the tree of life is a word that refers to the Sephirith of Elohim, what we can know, a really absolutely classification of some of the understandings on the highest levels of absolute and Haya that we can know, all right? But I want to do trees. There's also, it was talking about 2 trees in the garden. Huge part of the storyline. What are these trees? This is huge esoteric information to unpack come out today. Also, in Yeshua, so when he healed, see, there was a text where the two, he healed a blind man. He said to the blind man, well, what do you see? And he said, well, I see men as trees walking about. Well, it's not an accident, that word. He could have just said, well, I'm still a little fuzzy. Or still this. No, he saw men as trees because men are trees. People are trees. This is one of the But not all angels are kind of trees. So there's all sorts of in trees information that's imparted to us. So I want to go to metals. Metals was one I've been working on the last couple of days. So this is amazing, and it's so interesting on so many levels, because I'll tell you what. Well, let me just read 2 verses so you know I'm not from Enoch. Okay, so I've done the Zohar, I've done a commentary from Rashi, I've done a Bible verse text. Now let's take something from the Book of Enoch. Book of Enoch, the people have a problem with it because it's 100% really written in Sod and Remez. All right, there's very little literal that you could really wrap your mind around literally. There's a lot of drosh in it, but so this, you have to just understand this is what is called an apocalypse. Where an apocalypse is a text that is deliberately written in this style to pass on, to retain esoteric codes, symbols, and information. All right, but metals. So in chapter 52 of the Book of Enoch, it says, and after those days at that place where I had seen all the visions of that which is hidden. See what he's talking about again, of the hidden worlds, the other dimensions where the angels are, and all these battles are going on, and Yeshua, Michael the Archangel. All right, this is real and information that we can have. We have so much information, so we've lost. All right. For I was taken up by the whirling of the wind and carried toward the west. I mean, I'll just unpack some of this. Like I said, the whirling of the wind is a code word. Wind, we know wind are angels. He says that. My messengers of the wind, of wind. Okay, so those are angelic, those are angels of wind. And actually angels, it'll tell you, they're made up of different elements, earth, fire, and air, and different things. This is all in the text. Which is actually we can get into the physics of the supranatural. But for all intents and purposes, he was taken up, which means he's not literally physically going anywhere. It might be, like Paul says, whether in the body or out of the body, doesn't matter. His mind, he is mental, he is in his consciousness, in other levels of his soul. He is interfacing on these dimensions, and you always have these prophets. I'll tell you, never go out there on your own. He has angels, I'm sure, guardian angels, protective angels, and angels that know how to get around out there and are taking him specifically, all right, and carried toward the west. Like I told you before, in the heavens, they have very specific code words, and one of them is direction. North, south, east, and west is a very important, the 4 corners of the earth, which is talking about the part of the heavens. It's very specific, and it refers to the Sephiroth. So actually you can know where the sides of the north are. And they're not Russia. Okay, this is what I mean. We're going to get ourselves all blown up listening to Satan tell us is only in a literal level understanding. Okay, all that. There my eyes saw the secrets of heaven. All right. And then things that will be on, all things that will be on the earth. So in other words, and he's also seeing things in time. Not everything was manifested all at once. Yeshua came in time, at the appointed time. Out there in heaven where there is no time, okay, when you get above the 4th heaven, there's no time. So things that are still there, but they don't come down into manifested concretion until it's appointed times. But that's another whole, There my eyes saw the secrets of heaven. And all things that will be on the earth, a mountain of iron, a mountain of copper, a mountain of silver, a mountain of gold, a mountain of soft metal, and a mountain of lead. And I asked the angel who went with me, what are these things which I'm seeing in secret? And he said to me, all these things which thou hast seen are for the power of his anointed, that he may command and be powerful on the earth. So when I get into flushing out, those 7, Yod, Hey, Vav, the world of the sun, S-O-N, esoterically, and S-U-N. It's huge, okay? And he said to me, okay, but what I want, for all intents, I'm going to start there because I want you to see, I see this everywhere. I have iron, copper, silver, gold, soft metal, lead, mountain. What are they talking about? Well, I know exactly what they're talking about, and I'll get there, and we'll unflush this. And this is fascinating because we will see the correspondences down to literally the chemicals in our bodies and the planetary influences that, and these ancients totally got it and understood it. It's amazing. There's nothing new under the sun. All right, so let's go through a few more of these. So like I said, so we just did one that was sort of in metals. Okay, I flushed a little bit about trees. Okay, let's go into here. This is people. People's huge. All right, you got to know, it always says context. Who is the prophet talking to? All right, and this is so key. This is an easy one that I have been over tons of times, and it's absolutely foundational, understanding the two houses and the code words that refer to either the house of Judah or the house of Ephraim. Verse 12, it says, Ephraim surrounds me with lies, and the house of Judah with deceit. Judah is also unruly against Elohim, even against the Holy One who is faithful. So right there, you see, when I was a Christian, before my eyes began to be open to all of this, I would have just glossed over it, and it's all Israel. It's all those Old Testament people. So whatever, Judah, Israel, whatever. I didn't understand. I didn't see the complete classification and the implication and the magnitude of what is being said here. Ephraim, so the house of Israel is the different from the house of Judah. Judah and Ephraim are code words for the two houses. Again, down here in verse 8, it says, how can I give you up, O Ephraim? Christian, that's you. All right, that's Christianity. Okay, and it, that's huge. Okay, how can I surrender you, O Israel? How can I make you like Adamah? Now, and then you have to look at Adamah. You can't blow past these things because there's so much information. Adamah was one of the cities of the plain that got destroyed in the time of Sodom and Gomorrah. It wasn't just those, there were 5 cities in the plain that basically were torched. Okay, so in other words, how can I give you up, O Ephraim? How can I surrender you, Israel? So when you see Israel, Ephraim in a couple verses, those go together, always talking about the house of Ephraim. We've been devastated on a spiritual level to a large extent, especially before Yeshua. The house of Israel dispersed to the nations was like their souls were decimated like in Sodom and Gomorrah because they had lost Torah and they were just out there in the wilderness. And again, even today, a lot of Christianity, they're just, again, it's a famine of the word. So you have to see these code words, people. All right. Let me go to this one. So I've done the Zohar, I've done, keeping track of all these different quote unquote writings. This is another one from Enoch, talking about people and how it is, different peoples are talked about. Because there's a lot, you can understand where the code words for the bad seed. All right, the code words for the righteous were the fruit of the land. All right, well, it's quite obvious, and it tells you, Yeshua in that famous parable, the wheat and the tares, he tells you the tares are the sons of the wicked one. So you got wheat, or, fruit, because technically a fruit is a sprouting grain, or in this guy, I think biblically in the large, a sprouting food source, so like a fruit or a grain when it sprouts its head, and tares. This is a whole part of the language, how it is used. These are contrasted. Okay, so this is from Enoch 50. In those days shall the earth deliver up from her womb, and hell deliver up from hers that which it has received, and destruction shall restore that which it owes. Okay, he shall select the righteous and holy from among them. So already, the womb, earth and the womb, we have to understand a lot of the earth, air, wind, and fire. And I'm not going to totally unpack this one as much, but to get to my verses, it says, and in those days, and I think these are those days. So anyways, and he shall select the righteous from among them, for the day of their salvation has approached. And in those days shall the elect one sit upon his throne, while every secret of wisdom shall proceed from his mouth. For the Lord of spirits has gifted and glorified him. That is Yeshua. If you cannot see Messiah ben Joseph and his elevation to the right hand of the Father, and in these days, those days is the 2 days we've lived in now since Messiah 2,000 years. That is always referred to biblically as those days, and that he has done that. He has selected the righteous and holy from among the Goyams. All right, and it's actually coming from both houses, because both have been in such dispersion. But in those days, the mountains shall skip like rams, and the hills shall leap like young sheep satiated with milk, and all the righteous shall become like angels in heaven. Okay, so here we go. In those days, these two, so mountains shall skip like rams and hills shall leap like young sheep. What you have here, first of all, is mountains and rams being compared to each other, and you have sheep and hills. This is the way they do gender. So men are always referred to as mountains and rams, okay? Women are hills and, ewes, I think would be the right word. Ewes, E-W-E-S, all right, sheep, okay, and all satiated with milk, which is really true because most people we have stopped at the milk of the word per se. But in those days, this is the point, men and women are rejoicing and we're satiated with the milk, all right. This is actually, and we shall be like angels in heaven, and this means shall begin to have the wisdom and the knowledge and understanding, right, of the higher levels. We'll be able to understand to the level of angels, and that Yeshua was put on the elect one, which is a code word for the Mashiach, all right, and this will sit upon his throne. So this understanding a lot of the how fruit trees are always women, forest trees are always men. I told you how trees are so important. So we're going to go through all of this and unpack this some more. Let me give you another one. This is from Psalm. I have to figure this out. I had it written down. C's. I have to get my 100. This is Psalm 160. I believe 160, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think there's a. Well, I'll figure out the Roman numerals later. But it says, all the trees of the field, which with one accord burst into song, referencing the same kind of language here. What song? It was Praise Adonai of all the earth. Now, praise Adonai, you dragons, code word. That's a big word. We got I'll get into that. That gets into the animal category. And all deeps, all right? Again, the abysses, I told you, north, south, up and down. Down are many levels. In other words, I'll tell you, there's 7 heavens above, there's 7 hells below. All right, that's in there. And all cedars, all fruitful trees and all cedars. And like I just told you, fruit trees are women, forest trees, a cedar, are men. So men and women are going to praise Elohim. All right, so the prophets aren't confused. They know exactly what they're saying. All right. Now, here's another one. This is from a Dead Sea Scrolls fragment, okay? So this is from 4Q394. But there's a lot of the Dead Sea Scrolls, again, are written as midrash, commentary, peshers, and they will explain the keys, all right? And so here's one. It says, concerning that which is written, anyone who slaughters in the camp or outside the camp an ox, a lamb, or a goat, in the north of the camp, okay, there's some Lucanos, or there's like some gaps in there, so I can't read that totally. But the word north, you can kind of get out of there. But anyway, so it goes, we have determined that the sanctuary is the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. The correspondences, remember, kind of law of correspondences. The sanctuary is the tabernacle of meeting. Jerusalem is the camp, and outside the camp is outside Jerusalem. In other words, the camp of their cities is outside, it's talking about the world. And it's talking really, when they get into this the whole way, and I talked about this, how they use architecture and the whole layout of the temple and the layout of the tabernacle. And so you have all the area that's totally outside of it, which is all the territory given to the Goyim under their gods, under the 70 archons. I mean, that is what it's referring to. All those outside. Inside, you start with having the courtyard, the outer courtyard, the inner sanctuary, the Holy of Holies. This is all part. This is This is all kind of totally understood. And as we're going to get into all the way up, and we even know that Philo would tell us this, and Josephus, and how all the, we know this, and we know Yeshua tells us that the pattern of the temple and tabernacle is parallels, law of correspondences, what's in heaven. So, let's see. So that was the Dead Sea Scrolls. This one is from the book of Barnabas, the Epistle of Barnabas. Barnabas, one of the greatest disciples, discipled by Paul, known by the early church much in the New Testament, in the book of Acts especially. So let me read what he has to say, because I talked about time. Oh, here, time is one. All right. Time is huge. times and a half of times, what that's supposed to mean. Okay, so and he rested on the seventh day. Did I get this? Hold on a second. All right. Barnabas 15:4 and 5. So Barnabas 15:4 and 5. Give heed, children, what this meaneth. He ended in 6 days. He meaneth this, that in 6,000 years the Lord shall bring all things to an end. For the day with him signifies 1,000 years. And this he himself said, bearing witness, saying, behold, the day of the Lord shall be as 1,000 years. Therefore, children, in 6 days, that is in 6,000 years, everything shall come to an end. See, this is one of the most established patterns, is the day of the week, 7 days, 6 days you labor, the seventh day we rest, the millennial, and it's 1,000 years is a day. That's why it's no accident we are coming up on the end of 6,000 Adamic years, so to speak, for this aeon. Doesn't mean it's the only one that's ever existed, this aeon. And we're at the cusp. That's why we know. I mean, that's, to me, the biggest no-brainer that we are in the zone, in the season, is just from this typology and these keys and codes, which most people get. And then he says in 15:5, and he rested on the seventh day. This meaneth when his son shall come and shall abolish the time of the lawless one, put down all rule and authority, and shall judge the ungodly, and shall change the sun, the moon, and the stars. Then shall he truly rest on the seventh day. See, it's in there. It's in there. It's plain. What was the time, especially the 1,000 years is a day. I mean, I have a whole folder on that. I've done some teachings. A lot of this stuff I flushed out little bits, released in little bits, but now I'm really going to methodically do this thing. But what you understand is, again, it says the sun, moon, and the stars. This whole language of angels, how it refers to, and sun, moon, and stars is code words for angels. And another thing that needs to be, do I have another? I thought I had another little snippet on sun, moon, and stars and stuff. I mean, there's tons of them, but we'll come back to that. But this one now, the last one, is from 2 Ezras. All right? Really great apocryphal work that people should read. All right? And I've quoted from this one a lot in Ezra. Okay, I don't know what chapter we're in, but it'll be there. Okay, so starting with verse 23, again, this tells you these prophets are speaking in code and they know what they're talking about. So he's talking about here, he says, and I said, O sovereign Adonai, from every forest of the earth and from all its trees, thou hast chosen one vine. He's not talking about literally. I mean, you always not out there going and picking a tree here and a literal vine there. This is allegory. It's referring to people groups, forest trees, and in every forest of the earth. Okay, so a forest would be a group of people, and from its trees thou hast chosen one vine. All right, and that vine is another very important code word in this. And from all the lands of the world thou hast chosen from thyself one region. All right, so this is the point. I said all the nations of the Goyim, but he has one place, Jerusalem, that he's picked for himself. All right, in Israel, the land, he's got one spot on the planet that is his. It's going to be his headquarters in the millennium. Nobody really disputes that. And from all the depths of the sea thou hast filled for thyself one river. And from all the cities that have been built, thou hast consecrated Zion for themselves. Now, I know this, and I'll get into it, how Zion, city is a big code word for stuff. Depths of the sea. Again, I told you, the springs of living waters. There's a lot of terminology in terms of water, rivers, springs, okay, so we'll get into that. And from all the birds that have been created, thou hast named for thyself one dove. All right, and again, we know that birds are code words for angels. That's probably the easiest one to figure out. And from all thy flocks, thou hast provided for thyself one sheep. All right. And see, that's so it could be, we know we are sheep of his pasture, but even in the two houses, he has flocks. Yeshua said, look at, I have other flocks out there, all right, that I got to go get. This is one of the key things that Yeshua, we can understand. He said, look, I have come in this incarnate for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I'm not coming now to restore the kingdom. He kept trying to tell the Jews, I'm not coming to do that, all right, hold on. But, you know, they have lost the keys. Many people, except for the Essenes, some pockets of people who understood on the deeper levels what he was saying and about doing, to most of the people, going over their head. All they wanted was the kingdom established now, the millennial reign, because they were under great bondage and they wanted those Romans out. I mean, you know, I don't blame them. But so this is what happens when you don't have the keys and you misinterpret scriptures. Okay, so I guess I'll kind of stop in this. And like I said, so this, my points are made. This is all there. This is going to be really exciting. So again, if you're with me on this, releasing the keys, subscribe, share, like, comment. And I'll be back. Let me just say two quick things I know that are on my board here that I didn't get to. We are not talking about idioms, all right? A lot of times, idioms actually are great in understanding. You should study it for the Peshat level, all right? Keys are different from idioms, okay? But they're both important to understanding contextually what's being spoken, all right? Especially, and there are two ways. Oh, that's funny. The first letter here is gone. A lot that I have done a whole video on tautology. There's like today, what I was doing was a lot of flesh this out, because these things have names. You know, I mean, if you were a grammatician, you know, the styles of rhetoric, the styles of writing, these things were all known. Parallelism and tautology are two really big ways in which to establish key relationships to words. So when it says tree, men walking about as trees, I mean, you're kind of seeing it's a parallelism, all right? And after enough while, you begin to see this, you begin to pick up on it. So on that note, I want to say shalom and blessings. I hope you recorded this, and I will see you in the next